Hey, Rebecca here at Arrow's Edge, just coming to you with your weekly live training where we are all about identity, purpose, and destiny here. Listen, we have to step fully into our identity and do life on purpose. See, God has called us to partner with Him, to actually be a part of our process, to be a part of our dreams. And we have to be intentional about what He's calling us to do in order to really step into that God-given destiny. Identity, purpose, and destiny. Today, I really want to bring you a word that I received as I was resting and playing and getting filled with God. On Memorial Day weekend, I had gone out and I went to Lake Michigan. And really, Lake Michigan, when you live in the Midwest, is kind of like going to the ocean, even though it's not. It's the best thing that we have anyways, and it's such a beautiful place to be. And in that time, I was just walking along the beach. In that day, I had faced a circumstance that I was getting these text messages that were coming on and wanting to ignite circumstances, wanting to lead my emotions in a certain direction, that were wanting to call me into like being intimidated or being in fear or being in worry or all those negative things that come up. And in that moment, I had a choice. I was away, and I was away for a purpose. And I had a choice. Was I going to partner with that, or was I going to reject that? And I tell you what, I have learned so much over the last season that it's so important to reject that in that moment and to value when God has given you a time and a moment for rest and to get filled. I cannot even tell you the importance, explain to you the importance and value of getting out and getting rest, doing something fun. I will tell you over and over again, because I know people who are high impact visionary Christians like you that see big picture things, that are creative, that want to make a way where there's seemingly no way. Entrepreneurs, pioneers, all of you out there that are like really doing the hustle. I tell you what, I had that mindset for a long time, recovering workaholic here. And I had that mindset where work had to come before play. But here's the thing. If I never rest, I will be exhausted and I won't have the energy and grace to do what I'm actually called to do. And the thing about this is that there is always going to be work to do. So I had this mindset of when the work's finished, I'll go and I'll rest and I'll have fun and I'll be fulfilled. And when. And you know what happens? There's always work to do. There is always work to do. So if you don't make a decision to make this a priority in your life, then you'll never actually achieve those things that you're created to achieve. Because I'll tell you what, it's in the rest. It's in those fun times. It's in the adventures with God that you get your vision, that you get strategies to succeed, that your heart gets filled up and it gives you that mental energy and capacity to do even higher than you ever thought you could even imagine to do. So I encourage you, do like me. Let's break out of workaholism, get some balance in our life, because yes, work is important. Impacting our surroundings is so important, but also getting out is really important. So for me, I was getting out and getting away. I was taking a day on Memorial Day weekend just to get away. And it was so nice on the beach. As somebody like me who I just feel everything. I sense people's emotions. I can tell what they're going through. I can see all that God's placed in them. I can see people's potential. I can see even what they're facing. And so a lot of times it's hard, you have to get away so you can know what is actually you that you're feeling, right? And so it was so neat because I had the beach to myself because it was really kind of cold down by the beach. And so it really wasn't busy that day. And so I was all alone, taking a moment, and I was just walking along the beach, being refreshed and listening to the waves and feeling the wind on my face. And in that moment, God was calling me to put my attention to a certain place. And He began to talk to me and give me a message. And I really think even though he was talking to me, that this is something that will bless all of us in this group. So hang tight. I'm getting there. It was like I was walking along the beach and I saw hundreds of seagulls, just tons of them coming in all over the place. And they were all like right in front of me. And as I walked along, I began to notice them. I almost felt spiritually drawn to notice them in front of me as I walked. And the interesting thing about when I saw them walking in front of me was that there was this circle around me. It was actually a circle shape, that the seagulls kept this exact distance from me the entire time. So as I walked forward, the seagulls would move forward. And there was always the same distance there away from me, yet they were always right in front of me. And I was like, why aren't they just flying over and going behind us, right? There's a reason. They're always right in front of me. And in the meantime, there's this kind of thing that's happening this year where a bunch of these little fish, I forgot what they're called, but there's these little fish that because of the temper change, they all died. And so they're all washing to shore. So I was continually having to watch where I walked, lest I walk with my bare feet on a dead fish. But here's the thing. It contained an awareness. It contained a lesson for me that I really want to share with you today. I was observing all of this with the seagulls. I was seeing what they were doing. I was just feeling spiritually drawn to notice them when all of a sudden I was just stopped in my tracks, and I really began to become aware. I just really sensed that God was calling my attention to it. So I got stopped in my place, and God called attention to it himself. And thank goodness that I was in this place of rest, because I had a much easier time hearing his voice because I was at peace. I was at rest. It's so important. He said several things. I actually began to write them down because they were so powerful. He said, see how the seagulls give you space, an equal amount of space ahead of you. They are intimidated by you. You're more powerful than you think, right? This space is your metron. It's your area of influence. The enemy sees and feels this space that you have authority in, and he walks right in front of you, just outside of your metron. So he is always in sight, trying to make sure you give your attention there. Keep your eyes on where the seagulls flee. This is your space to be free and run with joy, even through that carnage and death as you walk by. Cast those seagulls from your mind. Make no mind of them. They will scatter as you move forward. Now think about this. We see the stuff in the government. We see the stuff in the economy. We see the stuff in our business. And it looks all kind of can begin to loom over us. Like all these things, these bad things can happen. But here's the thing. My question for you is, what is your area of influence? What has God actually called you to impact? Because here's the thing. The enemy will always be in front of you. He will always be in front of you, and you will always be aware of that presence. But here's the thing. In front of you, there is this whole area that you can influence, that can be impactful. And if you focus on that area, you will not be distracted with those things, that enemy that's in front of you, that's always sitting there, just always sitting there the same distance away, trying to trick you into being distracted from your purpose, distracted from intentionality. We don't want a distraction. Is just such a huge use of the enemy as we just walk through life. And those seagulls just represent distraction, discouragement. I've heard it said the dogs of doom bark loudest at the gates of our destiny. So sometimes it's like there's just all these things that are going on around us. But in between that is our area that God has given us to influence. And that is the area we ought to focus on. If you focus too outward, You'll be distracted all the time. But if you're intentional to take care of the things that God has given you, then you will see you're actually a big person. You actually are called by God with a purpose, and you are designed to have impact in the earth. Listen, here's some things I learned from that experience, just observing the seagulls, observing the dead fish on the beach, and walking through miles of beach. Listen, I learned that I can see battles everywhere, but my area of grace is to see them and be aware of them. But I'm going to invest my mental and physical and emotional energy on those areas that I have the influence to impact. Focusing on my own metron, the area of influence that I've been given by God, will allow ease and flow, and God will be able to expand your influence as you walk well with what you already have. I also learned that I can step right over the dead things, not letting myself be distracted from the beauty that surrounds me in the meantime. I could have gotten caught up with all these dead fish on the shore, right? But the wind and the waves and the sky and the waters were so precious and beautiful. And if I was always keeping my head in the sand, I would have missed the beautiful scenery along the way on the journey. Were there seagulls? Were there distractions? Yes. Were there dead fish on the beach? Yes. If I focus on those things, I'm going to miss all of the amazing things that God has as I walk through my life, walk through my journey, walk through my processes, and walk through my growth. I learned that when I get out of my circumstances and away with God, my heart is wide open to experience Him and hear Him better. Listen, taking time away is an important investment. Doing your work is also important too. Let's stay in balance, but make sure, because I tell you what, God gives you strategies and promotion in the midst of the time you spend with Him. And sometimes when I'm not hearing the solutions to my issues, it's because I've been caught up in my circumstances. I want to encourage you in this today. Yeah, there are distractions. Yes, there are things coming against. Yes, there's opposition. But that's not your area of focus. Your area of focus is the grace that God has given you, the influence that God has given you, and what you do with your influence will dictate how much more influence you have. And I tell you what, the circle that I saw that these seagulls were making, that was literally like the borderlines of my area of influence. I'm telling you, it was bigger than I thought it was. And when I concern myself for the things that I can impact, yet being aware of those things that are out there, I can actually operate in the ease and flow of God's goodness. I can operate as a son or daughter of God in my fullness. I can partner with God with the grace that He's given me, with the call that He's giving me. I can dream big, I can make plans, and I can go forward into amazing things, busting out of mediocrity in every way, shape, or form, and truly living out the dreams that God has given me. So take a moment right now. Let's just take a deep breath. And right now, I just choose to break off those circumstances that are trying to distract. Right now, just break them off of yourself. And right now we're going to position ourselves to, notice the opposition that's out there, but be aware of our assignment. Because I tell you, you who are visionaries, you who are creatives, you who are designed by God for a purpose, you are needed. So let's zero in. Let's laser in. Let's not be intimidated by the things, because here's our verse. The Lord will grant that the enemies who rise up against you will be defeated before you. As I walked forward, those seagulls scattered. The enemy scatters when it sees the light that's in you. They will come at you from one direction, but flee from you in seven. And the Lord will bless you over and over and over and over again. So do me a favor, comment below. Tell me, what's been trying to come in and distract you? And what's the mindset and thought you're going to put in its place? How can you influence the world around you today? All right. I hope this enriched you. I hope this blessed you. You can hear a little bit more. This was actually my message from church on Sunday. So if you want to hear more on this topic, let me know. Check out, I can send you our YouTube link and you can totally check out that message. But for now, just remember you're designed by God for greatness. And that greatness looks like taking and stewarding the influence, area of influence you have around you. And don't concern yourself with those distractions outside of it. You got this. I bless your week and I bless your day. And I bless all you put your hands to do. Have a good one.